This video was sponsored by Tokyo Treats and Sakurako. As the year dawns to its ultimate conclusion, anybody not living under a rock can probably rejoice at the fact that this was a rather explosive year. Explosive in both good and bad ways, of course, especially more so in the bad. But the year isn't over yet, so we can't make a summary for now. I have a very special project for that, oh don't you worry. Rather, I'm here to talk about last year's events. Every big drama, every W, every influential event, or maybe not all of them, just the ones that I think were interesting. In no particular order, this is VTubing 2022 summarized. But before we continue, the stranger to drama and haters will unfortunately be unable to join us today, so I'll fill in his shoes while I find a replacement. What is irreplaceable though are Tokyo Treats and Sakurako, two Japanese subscription box services that give out cool, authentic Japanese treats that give out 20 traditional authentic Japanese snacks, with some being limited time only and exclusive to Japan. Last month's treats were good, but 'tis the season to be spooky, so there's lots of Halloween-themed snacks. This time, Sakurako even partnered up with the Kyoto prefectural government, so by extension that makes me sponsored by literally Japan itself, and you can't make me think otherwise. So, let's open up some of them, shall we? Ooh, we have a lot today. Interesting. Cool little card. So, like last month, we still have information about what kind of treats there are in these boxes. That means the allergen information, what ingredients they have, even some of the instructions as to how to prepare them or how to eat them and shit. They're all here. So rest assured, if you're vegan or if you have certain allergenics, you really don't have to worry about that since this company actually fucking cares, you know? Unlike certain companies. Nijisanji. Anyway, yes, I'm going to ignore literally everything here and get in on that. We have last month, my favorite item of the box was something encased like this. There was a distinct English looking label there, so I'm going to assume that this is also going to be my favorite. White chocolate fruits. What kind of fruits? I don't know. What is that? Holy shit, what is that? Yeah, that's banana. That's fucking good, bro. Fuck me. Only Japan can make shit like this, bro. See, this is the part. See, the thing that I like about both of these boxes is that they're not just sweet. Some of them are salty. Some of them are sour. Some of them are bitter. And some of them are sweet. Some of them are even savory. There's an entire variety here. They're not just traditional sweet, get you diabetes kinds of like snack boxes. They're actually varied. So again, literally buy this shit, chat. So yes, if you're a weeb who wants some of these snacks, get Tokyo Treats and Sakurako using the links in the description. It'll be a nice gift to get for your loved ones for Halloween. Maybe even get it for your weeb family member or friend who wants to go to Japan but can't. Having them get a taste of Japanese culture via Sakurako and Tokyo Treats will be a good treat, I promise you that much. Ad over. I know we all meme about how 2023 is just not Nijisanji's year, and I think that's especially sad, considering that 2022 was definitely theirs. So we kickstart this year with Nijisanji's Luxien. Luxien was the VTuber group that birthed life into male EN VTubing. I know I said that multiple times in multiple videos, but hey, what can I say? They were just that influential. It was their presence that made female VTuber fans become a part of this massive community. Their explosion genuinely made Hololive gachis and tribalists afraid and insecure about the prospect that their favorite VTuber tribe was going to have some serious competition. Yes, I know Luxiem debuted on December of 2021, but come on, that's basically 2022 already. Besides, their growth really only started in January and February,
especially after horny women on Twitter and horny Chinese women on Bilibili found them, a new obsession to throw money to. Their success was immediately followed by the release of Noctix, who actually retained a fair bit of the popularity Luxien received. And with these two behemoths in the EN industry, male VTubing seemed to have become validated. But of course, with great popularity comes great drama, as literally nearly after their debut, Petra did a little oopsie that caught the attention of the community. A little glimpse of the boys that may or may not be shitting on Hololive EN, especially Fulgur, who caught most of the flack, and Mori Calliope unfollowing some of them almost immediately. Calliope Mori really, fiercely, and all modifiers that means increase, loves her friends, and it's pretty evident. However, all of this seemed to be resolved as soon enough, Callie would refollow some of them back, presumably after some behind-the-scenes talk. Clarify things, you know? Especially with Holo fans and Niji fans at each other's throats at that time, the last thing the community needed was some genuine beef between Holo EN and Niji EN members. But even if the members themselves decided it was water under the bridge, some of the fan base would not let that water flow under the bridge. But hey, this is only the beginning of this year's series of Niji drama. But first, let's do some deflection posting and turn to Hololive, because it was them that actually tanked the biggest drama this year with the messiest VTuber discharge ever, Rushia's Termination. Now, this is probably the most covered drama in VTubing history ever, and it's perhaps the most well-known, but that could just be recency bias. Anyway, after an unfortunate Discord leak while gaming with her buddy Migo, Rushia was bombarded by her gachis and unicorns, as the one that messaged her at the time was the infamous Ikemen Utaite, Mafu Mafu. But it's not just Rushia that got raided by unicorns, Mafu Mafu himself too would be faced with an onslaught of jealous and upset gachis. At the end of the day, it all resulted to Rushia being unfortunately terminated by Hololive for not doing what she was told, for being unable to wait, for leaking private information. Honestly, it got a little scary as the woman was posting stuff with unaliving intent. It was bad, though eventually Michael, the woman behind Rushia, eventually posted her side of the story, essentially saying that Hololive's termination announcement, while true, took out a lot of context and worded things to make it seem worse than what actually happened, which led to Hololive responding to it and standing by what they said. Nothing really came out of this statement, as it was very vague and can really only be subject to interpretation. But hey, at the very least, Michael is in a good home now in VShojo JP as Nazuna, brought upon their doors like a wounded, crippled, flea-ridden, and shivering puppy by the legend herself, Kei-san. Is she better under VShojo? Up to interpretation, but she did seem happier, I think. Was her Menhera tendencies addressed? Well, I mean, it's getting better, I think, so maybe? Speaking of Menhera, Delutaya, formerly Manu Aloe of Hololive, finally made her grand re-debut and carved herself a fanbase in the JP and EN industry bigger than ever. She has essentially built herself and her career again after years upon years of mental torture, fighting against unaliving thoughts and her own emotional woes. Hers is a story of fortitude, that there is light at the end of the tunnel, that while the nights may get darker, the stars get brighter. Like a slingshot or a bow, the more you get pulled back, the further you'll go. You know who else zoomed into Delutaya's life though? Michael Cat Baby, as she would be engaged in drama yet again with Delutaya after she apparently threw shade at her without mentioning her name. Two former Hololivers duking it out in the public scene, both mentally vulnerable and with an equally loyal and supportive fanbase to support them all the way. Many anticipated a legal Menhera battle of unholy proportions. Who would win in this grand battle of the titans? Neither, because nothing ultimately came out of the drama, and honestly it's all for the best. I doubt Delutaya and Michael's fans wanted to see them fight each other for any reason. Although drama feasters would have liked to see the sheer spectacle of it all, I am quite certain all of us would have found it very, very sad. You know what else was sad though? Kizuna AI's anime, which was so mind-numbingly boring I felt the need to refund the time I wasted by ranting and making content around how bad it was. And it's also getting a new season for some reason. She also got a new game called Touch the Beat, and so did Minato Aqua, a game called Aquarium, both of which I've heard good things about, but don't take it from me, it's not my type. Okay, let's expand our horizons a little bit. Introducing Lauren Eros, aka the nipple boy of Nijisanji, who was found to have pirated nipple fetish porn whilst browsing his folders one day, leading to the actress and even the porn studios in Japan poking fun at the motherfucker. In Japan, they take this matter rather seriously. Pirating is bad, leading to Lauren to take some time off to cool off the hate and let the drama die down. And when he came back, he was as strong as ever. Finally, drama-free. Until he said a Korean slur and got fucked in the ass by everyone again, leading to Nijisanji to make a tweet that they will now re-educate these dumb plebeian VTubers and teach them what's NG and what's not NG. And that was the end of Lauren's drama. But culture difference drama? Not so much, as Vox Akuma, the fattest cash cow of Nijisanji EN, would be subject to hate from the Chinese community after making a joke about Sonny's mom. They take family really seriously. Speaking of China, let's go to China for a bit. Like I said earlier, Nijisanji's Luxien really made waves in the Chinese fanbase. It even led to Vox Akuma's first stream in the platform to bag around the million yuan, which is roughly around $150,000 in just one stream alone. Suffice to say, it's ripe for the picking. I mean, there was an entire drama around favoritism with the boys, but you can probably see why they do it. Anyway, this popularity inspired a lot of Chinese companies and individuals to leech off of Nijisanji and reap some of the rewards for themselves too. Figures like the founder of Overidea, a VTuber named Kyouka, who intended to be all buddy-buddy with Niji-en to capitalize off of their success too. But sometime later, another Bilibili VTuber Bing Tang, an intimate acquaintance of Kyouka, made an entire expose revealing that Kyouka was a POS. That means piece of shit. In her expose, she revealed that they were in love and promised to reveal their relationship in public, that he had asked her for resources multiple times, been a real jerk to other VTubers like Virtua Real's Aza, encouraging harassment towards other fanbases and VTubers, and even encouraged people to unalive themselves. Generally, he was a big ol' meanie. She said that he was also sexually harassing her and was fucking prostitutes while they were together. A rather serious crime in China, by the way. Look, I'd be making this video way longer than it needs to be if I listed everything. There's a shit ton more to this and they're all really fucked up and bad, but you get the idea. This person is abune. That means dangerous in Japanese. And after making this expose, Bing Tang's account was suspended, faced death threats from Kyouka himself, and, you know, Bilibili is rather shit with their rules and enforcement in it. He even tried to make a response video, but the overwhelming majority found it to be rather terrible. After this, Kyouka was mass bombarded with negative comments, tons upon tons of unfollows, and basically his entire career crumbled. And now it seems like he's hoping for a comeback, but hey, that's another story for another time. We're not done yet with Chinese agencies though, because one particular big agency, ASOL, was in hot water when one of their members, Carol, was supposed to graduate for health reasons. But in her PL account, she was making vague posts regarding workplace harassment, abuse, and extremely low salaries, even while making ASOL a shit ton of money. It should be noted that ByteDance owns this agency, the company responsible for TikTok, and after this was revealed, fans roared in righteous fury. They wanted justice, to a point of literally reporting the agency to Chinese labor authorities for their sake of their Madame VTuber. Truly, this is one trait VTuber fans everywhere share. Bro, the girl was making 10 cents per $20 of membership. And you thought Nijisanji's 2% was bad, bro. However, ASOL denied all of this. The low payments, the abuse allegations, everything. But fans were not satisfied. They demanded better, even to a point of turning to ByteDance to make the problem known. But nothing happened. There was also that one Chinese VTuber who said she was abducted and human trafficked following a 6-month hiatus. Made a lot of headlines, not just in China but even here actually. Then, her agency Mofu F suspended her. Them, alongside a shit ton of Chinese press media and websites, then claimed that this was all lies to get some clout and to cast a bad shadow on Chinese society. Now, some people already did not believe Porin's story, but a lot of people, particularly here in the EN side of things, have a problem with the last phrase with their statement, because it made it seem as if this was an entire conspiracy. An attempt to silence this poor girl just to make it so that they don't get in trouble with the Chinese government, so that this whole situation doesn't make China look bad. In the end, nobody knows the truth. Whether it was her, the agency, or the Chinese state, we may never know. You know what else we'll never know though? Hakuna Matata's meteoric rise to fame in the Japanese side of the internet. Following what was presumed to be just a joke debut from Nijisanji, this Ojo-sama captured the hearts and minds of many VTuber fans, with a picture of her literal insides and her rather interesting kayfabe, reaching 1 million subscribers in YouTube within 2 weeks, breeding fragile insecurity among many Hololive and Nijisanji fans alike. Hololive fans would rejoice, however, as HoloID Gen 3 released and gave birth to Indonesia's VTubing icon, Kobo Kanaeru, who would breach the mainstream Indonesian and Malaysian space, exposing normies to VTubing, with this little shit's many shenanigans and growing in a very consistent and rapid pace, blowing past any other Indonesian VTuber and even any EN VTuber in recent times. Now, enough about Nijisanji and Hololive in China. Let's talk about the western side of VTubing. In VShojo, we had a rather interesting year. Again, we have Michael as the woman behind Rushia joining VShojo as Nazuna. We also have Haruka, 2 very welcome members, but the most explosive entry and perhaps with the most discussion would be the VTuber empress herself, Kayson. Her joining sparked a rather explosive reactions from fans and people all over the industry. Some rejoiced as this was perhaps the biggest poach in VTubing history since Himimori Luna. Some didn't care because, well, I mean, not many people knew about this woman's history at the time. Some did not approve, as some thought Kayson betrayed Hololive for some reason. There are other reasons aside from this, but suffice to say, quite a few people particularly did not like the decision. Some were concerned because again, what would it mean to Kayson and everyone around her? To which she would make a stream addressing everybody's concerns. And as this announcement was made, on the other side of the world, a certain Tenshi was called into an emergency meeting, and suddenly, she made the decision to move out. Now, for some context, a certain dragon and this biblically inaccurate angel lived together, and now it seems like, with all the new developments, they had to separate. Something rather unfortunate, but one that many feel was ultimately necessary, especially in an industry and the world like the VTuber industry. Especially in regards to potential NDA breaches and casually cross-sharing private company information. Though I can't speak for sure about what those two feel, it can't be denied that it's truly the end of an era. Pour a cold one for the Kanakoko house boys. But as one lovey-dovey relationship was forcefully separated, another relationship in VShojo was blooming. That relationship being Avel and Nyanners, who publicly revealed that the two were dating and surprisingly, not that much angry seething. I guess that's the effect when you cultivate a community that's inherently inhospitable to gachis and unicorns. And on the topic of gachis and unicorns, Rushia wasn't the only one in trouble with her own set of gachis and unicorns. Because if you thought Hololive is the only one prone to angry gachis, you're a stupid idiot face. Because Vox Akuma himself again would be in trouble multiple times because of his own fanbase. The warning signs were already there earlier in his career, when his fans showed volatility and hostility towards other Niji members. They were like how chumbuds were, you know, thinking their Oshi is high and mighty and is better than everybody else. Yeah, that's right, you fucking chumbies. You were once like this, or perhaps you still are. You have to accept it. But instead of telling the kindreds to calm the fuck down and relax, Vox would actually validate and defend the actions of his fans, arguing that they're only doing this out of love for him. And he did this, perhaps in fear of the volatility of his own fan base, or perhaps he thought the loud minority doesn't speak for the silent majority, or perhaps because he was genuinely as parasocial to his own fan base as his fan base was of him. Most probably though, a mix of all three. Vox would encounter problems with his fan base a couple times, and he did nothing with it. Until eventually, when his dear friend Reimu was involved with a roleplay date ASMR because Vox added into the kayfabe that she interrupted, was the time when he finally was forced to confront the reality of his situation. Kindred's mauled the absolute fuck out of Reimu, sending her death threats, harassing her, and all sorts of shit. It was pretty bad, and it had to take the support of everyone else in Niji EN for him to finally address it. And you know, he actually addressed it in quite a good way, telling his parasocial fans to fuck off and everything. I mean, he still kept making BFE content, but I have an entire video talking about whether or not what he's doing is good or bad, so check that out. But it's not just Vox who faced this as well, because Uki Violetta, or rather Uki's mods, were publicly called out by some fans who genuinely had issues with their power tripping, with some people bringing up the issue that some community members of the boys were minors. And I'm not talking about the 17-year-old minors that's close to legal age, I mean like 14 and 15-year-old minors. Jesus, they did attract the Twitter crowd, so I guess that was to be expected. It's not just the EN boys though, because in JP, Akshakrone faced a similar problem, where he made an entire rant about how his fanbase were babying him, infantilizing him as if they were his mother. Well, I mean, the main problem for his hiatus was because of the harassment, but he did make an entire rant about this, so it kinda counts. And he graduated a few months ago, citing differences in the direction he wanted and what Nijisanji wanted. But it's not just him that graduated this year, because so many VTubers actually did. There's Melissa Kinrenka, arguably one of Nijisanji's best singers, who left because she wanted to own the stuff she makes. Mayuzumi Kai, there's Mia, Shu, Yami, Warabida Meijei, and yeah, we'll be here all day. Let's focus on two graduations actually, since they're EN and is as such more relevant to our side of the community. First of all, Tsukumo Sana, who many people presume that she graduated for health reasons. And, well, I mean, if you know, you know. Sana's graduation was almost to be expected, as she didn't really stream that much and was frequently on breaks due to health reasons. This year, Sana's graduation seems to be the most drama-free. I mean, I'm not saying it was completely drama-free, but relatively speaking, you know? At least compared to Niji EN's graduation, Yugo Asuma, who has experienced a lot of, woes in Nijisanji in regards to their creative freedom. But similar to Aksha's graduation and not so similar to a normal graduation, Yugo's graduation was effective immediately. The fanbase wasn't allowed any time to grieve or say their last goodbyes. In fact, the wording of the agency in regards to his behavior seemed like it was a termination more than a graduation. This kinda implies that Yugo and Nijisanji were in bad terms. The graduation is what I'd call a harbinger event. Basically an event that foreshadows bad things to come. The first of many disasters, the first blatant red flag in any community or culture. And you'll find this to be quite true when you remember all the shit that just happened in the following year. But hey, it's okay. They're back and is doing honestly way fucking better and seemingly even happier than they were back in Nijisanji. Still though, Yugo isn't the only musician who left in bad terms with certain people. Calliope Mori is no stranger to drama and haters, and suffice to say, she encountered quite a few drama back in 2021 and 2022. The Connor drama, the Lean drama, which was honestly more funny than anything, and the Gura drama where people were throwing Callie shit for leaving Gura alone at a house party. Oh, little chumby wumby Gua isn't capable of handling herself and functioning like an actual adult? Yeah, that's what her fans think. Hey, Nijisanji fans aren't the only fanbase that infantilizes their VTubers. And then, there is the April Fool's SoundCloud rapper drama, where a lot of people gave her shit for culturally misappropriating black culture. And as a result, a lot of people dug into her past and found her saying some terms that'll definitely get anyone cancelled if they let them. It led to one producer who previously worked with her deciding to cut all ties and airing out all their concerns and grievances with Callie on public, instead of, you know, talking about it, clarifying things, and reaching out to a mutual conclusion privately? Like what a professional would do? This was booming on Twitter all the time. You know how right now, shitting on Nijisanji is like the cool thing to do for a certain demographic? Well, back then, shitting on Callie was similar to that. However, Callie took this drama head on and literally raised her middle finger, owning responsibility as she was young back then. And you know what? I think it's fair to give all people a chance to improve themselves. Most content creators and VTubers you know have said some really stupid and cancelable shit back then, including even the content creators that people who virtue signals on Twitter worships now. It was a different time. Nobody in this industry gets to be the paragon of morality, in my opinion. Nobody should pretend to be, in fact, and nor should you hold someone to that standard. You'd be severely disappointed. In fact, I think that's just common sense. Callie also signed with Universal Music and held her first live 3D. Gura did too, and Gura had her own animation. But Callie's not the only person that got cancelled for something racist, because Enna and Kyo had a little oopsie in this year as well. Also, there's this side project called Midnight Grand Orchestra centered around Suisei and Tako Inoue. Niji also had Nornis, a little song group that features arguably their best singers. Also, really piece of not so important stuff that happened last year because I don't know how to transition into the next happening. But remember when the Italian Air Force made a VTuber once? Yeah, the drama this would cause if America were to pull their own state-sponsored VTuber though. I mean, China tried to do that once and failed massively, but hey, that just sounds like skill issue to me. Anyway, on the topic of Hololive, 2022 was also the arrival of Hololive's newest VTuber staff member, Nodoka, and the departure of Holostar's general manager, Shinove. So unfortunately, rest in peace, you glorious bastard. Thank you for your hard work. Moving on, after the third Fest's 3D showcase of the EN girls, a lot of fans were kinda upset. It was a little unfair to have the EN girls 3D showcases require payment. I mean, does the fanbase not deserve the girls in all their 3D glory after years of supporting them? Worry not, you whining little bitches, as Amelia Watson comes in clutch yet again, creating entire 3D mocap studios and building her own little 3D gimmicks in a cave with nothing but a bunch of scraps, with help from the community members themselves like Kanauru and Seafoam Boy. But the 3D stuff that Ame and her community made was not the biggest community contribution to Hololive and its culture. No. That honor belonged to Mazumaro's Myth's Bad Ending, an absolute masterpiece of an animation that was in the works for entire years. One that captured the imagination of many lore and animation enthusiasts far outside even the VTubing community. But something's missing. Is that really the biggest community contribution made this year? The more I think about it, Holocure is actually the peak of fan content and fan game in the VTubing industry ever. A fan game so good it honestly far surpassed the game it was supposed to be inspired by. There are certain games out there around certain VTubers that are made just as passionately, just as emotionally. Works coded and created with so much love, and I don't want to invalidate any of that. If you made a fan game or any sort of fan content for your Oshi or your community, kudos to you, you magnificent bastard. Keep doing your best. I'm just saying, Holocure was the biggest this entire year, a game that went beyond the niche it was supposed to be set for and genuinely rivaled that of regular game releases. And it's only getting better and better, because KU and the team behind them are themselves magnificent bastards. God, we haven't even talked about the tribalism and the Holostar stuff yet. Before we get to that though, remember when literally every VTuber fan in Reddit were mad at XQC for cutting through the VTuber corner of r/plays? And the VTuber hashtag on Twitch was being used by streamers and Kumar baiters that weren't VTubers and everybody was mad at it? Yeah. Alright, small corpo stuff this time. So, 2022 was a year where a great many VTubers in the small corpo and indie scene genuinely found some semblance of traction, like Pipa and Pankalopi. But obviously, not all developments were good. Sundaria was bleeding a lot of talents, which, spoiler alert, led to their eventual disbandment come 2023. Nina Makurano was terminated from Production Kawaii due to contract breaches. CyberLive, How do I even begin to unravel the disaster fest that was this agency, to be honest? Look, all you have to know is that CyberLive is an agency ridden with endless drama. And there's too many stuff to talk about. Doubts, spats, infighting, platform issues, technical issues, even a time where they straight up copied VShojo's trailer, and now how the Fishman is just saving their members' asses. Look, let's just move on. Because we're not done yet with small corpo agencies. Because Waktor enters the ring and claims the worst VTuber agency status. The agency has made it evident that you're literally not supposed to be another content creator while you're under them for some reason, and in a little dispute, decided to make their lawsuit public, specifically against one of their members, Shino Lila. But it wasn't just their dispute that they made public though. It was also Lila's real name, and suffice to say, people aren't happy, branding this company as perhaps the worst in recent times. But we're not done yet, because then it would be revealed that Lila's contract had already ended and that many people under the company were shadow banned. Many people were getting threatened to have what they did to Lila be done to them too. Because they were terminated, the members can't even claim the money that they earned prior. Some of the members are actually now pursuing legal action against them. Now, they are rebranding their generation names as an attempt to wipe the bad black air around the name Waktor. And whether or not the audience will remember all of this and have the rebrand actually work will be entirely up to them. We'll just have to see what happens, I guess. Okay, finally, we can start talking about the Holostar stuff now. Anyway, as Luxien got popular, other male VTubers got a fair bit of attention with the fanbase that they cultivated, and Hololive wanted in. However, on literally the same week, their arch-enemy Nijisanji would also launch their newest EN generation. This was going to be the centerpiece of the second Holo Niji war. Who was going to win? Holostars and Tempus, or Niji EN and I Luna? First, we have Tempus. Let's see what they got. So they were met with a shit ton of ridicule because, well, I mean, come on, Vesper and Magni got done dirty here. 4chan does what it does best and decide to meme the fuck out of them, especially Magni. But ridicule somehow turned to appreciation. The ironic jokes became unironic, and soon enough, the memes on 4chan became a banner of hype for the Tempus boys. Yago even joined in. It was one of the best reverse Uno cards I've ever seen. On the other stage, we have Ailuna, who was, wow, amazing designs. Unified, has a central aesthetic, as a Latina and a Chuni. This war was a little funny. You know what else was funny though? The absolute clown fiesta that came with the launch of Tempus. See, Hololive is an idol-centric VTuber agency. Naturally, that entails idol gachis and unicorns more so than any other places in this industry. Some of these people really do not like their men around their VTubers. So when the boys and the girls started interacting with each other, hilarity ensued. Such as the time when some of Watson's most dedicated goslings decided to fight back against the penis-having scum and remind her that they are evil when she decided to sing along to Regis' karaoke. Or that time Crony showed interest in collabing with the boys and was faced with an onslaught of backlash, which she actually took a while to address properly. Some cronies were genuinely upset that Vesper and Regis were able to make her laugh. Also, a similar seething would be found in Niji EN members too, as when Ren Zotto started commenting and mentioning Hololive members out of nowhere, people fucking erupted. Because for a long time, Niji EN and Hololive were never really allowed to collab with each other. It's 100% Nijisanji that's the one blocking the collabs, dudes. But when Regis and Alban eventually connected and started playing together, they fought for peaceful reunification. Regis and Alban were the ones that made history and united the two EN branches, setting a precedent for all the members to be able to collab with each other. What followed were collabs that were long awaited and long anticipated. Pomu and Kiara, Ollie and Salen, Vox and Gura. All the world would come together in glorious harmony. I wonder if I forgot about anything. Yeah, probably not. Hey everyone, thanks for watching this video. So as you'll probably point out if you're paying attention to the stuff that happened this year, there were a few more that happened that I didn't cover, and honestly, if you pointed out the event itself, I would most likely know what it is. But there's just only so much stuff I can put in here, so I really only mainly talked about the funny events or things that I found were interesting. But yeah, anyway, that's about it. See ya.